What's good, the peoples? How's everybody doing today? Let's get back to this ridiculous grind. So if my notes are correct, today we will be grinding on red dragons. And I already bought my sirens, yes? Sirens, 99, okay. So depending on if and when we can get these tails to drop, we may be able to go down and kill Zeromus tonight. Or we might go through 99 sirens in 5 hours and not get anything. Anything is possible in this workaday world of ours. Good evening, Dadif. So the red tail we're looking for, we can trade in for an onion blade, which would be a sword that we can put to use. Oh, we're going to have to change some stuff around as far as abilities go. Because red dragons are going to be significantly more difficult than flams were. I think we're going to have to berserk them in order to safely win the fight. We're going to have to berserk and slow, which means Cecil's not going to be able to build up his counters. He's going to have draw attacks. And yeah, his stats are going to go through the roof because we have that Rose's Love augment. Oh, you know what I can do? What am I doing? Hold on. I can do this. For now. In fact, let's just go through and give everybody what they're going to need. You're fine with dual casting white magic. You're fine with that stuff. What are you going to be doing? Black magic, probably, for flare. That's for speed. That's for speed. You have never changed your abilities ever. I don't even think I've given you adrenaline. That's right. No more enemy encounters unless I want them. I wonder how many enemy encounters we can safely get away with avoiding on the second and third playthroughs. I like to just equip safe travel always, but we do have to get through boss fights, which are going to require some experience levels. It's very unnerving this shiny floor does not reflect your hero at all. You can't see your own reflection. Just, I guess the ceiling is just full of stars in here. And then there's weird brain matter on the floor. It's going to be very strange walking through this whole dungeon and not getting any encounters. I think the last time I've done that... Well, free Enterprise, I keep encounters turned off. But there's a ROM hack called Final Fantasy V Ancient Cave, which basically takes the idea from Lufia 2's Ancient Cave, which is a 100-floor, procedurally generated dungeon full of monsters and treasures and stuff. And for whatever reason, that ROM hack included the lunar subterrane from Final Fantasy IV. For reasons I don't think I've ever understood. Like, I guess they were going to do something with it, like add it into the ancient cave kind of stuff, but for whatever reason it ended up not happening. That's the wrong door. What's good, McLean? We're going to be grinding up red dragons here once I get to the proper floor, which I think is the first floor of the lunar core. Should have red dragons as its rarest encounter, which means that's the one we can summon with sirens. Howdy, Saruka. So we can turn the rarest encounter into the most common encounter, but my ability to swiftly kill red dragons is not perfect. So we might end up having to backtrack and use cottages periodically. So I expect these fights to actually be more difficult than the Flan princesses that we were fighting yesterday. I think the only way we're going to survive the fights is to berserk the dragons and hope Cecil can tank the damage. So actually what I want to do is this, to make sure Cecil can safely tank all the damage he needs to tank. We need to get a Berserk spell on them as quickly as possible. I'm thinking dual cast Berserk slow is going to be the way to be. Yeah, this safe travel is good stuff. Enjoying this immensely. Not having to bat away warlocks and silver dragons and just trash nonsense like that. But I'm hoping between Adamant Armor, Onion Blade, and Safe Travel Augment, we can get through the second and third playthrough with very minimal random encounters. Alright, this should be the place. Cover provided 10 times so far. We gotta max that out too. Actually, let me, while I'm thinking about it, I will update my list here. I'll also post the link in the chat in case you haven't seen it. Update this list in real time here. Final Fantasy IV, Steam. Have we completed any of this? Begin playing, story completion, new game plus completion. No, we haven't done any of this. Oh, all maps completed. We've done. We don't yet have access to all augments. And we're thinking this goes up to 99 covers. Provide cover 99 times. This is the page that I'm updating, by the way. In case you have not seen it, This is the preliminary list of all the things I hope to complete in this project. So far, we have 2 check marks in this list. We have quite a ways to go still. Okay. So I gave you Rose's Love. So you're going to be covering... No, you need draw attacks. It's really going to come to Rose's turn. She's got to dual cast Berserk and Slow. Kane can cry and then he can start jumping. Rydia... I'm not sure if we're going to need her to flare or not. I guess we can. And then Osmos as she gets low. But we're going to have to back out of here and use a cottage intermittently in order to refill Rose's MPs. Okay, let's see if this is the right floor. That's my boy. And this is the spell that he's going to destroy us with. And it just outright kills Edge. So we need to Berserk. And then I'll Arise Edge. No, I'm going to raise Edge and then give him... Oh no, because Thermal Raise will just kill him every single combat. I'll raise Edge this round and then Kiraja next round. So he's probably going to get that Thermal Raise off every single round. Oh, and it counterattacks. That's not good. Maybe it won't counterattack if it's Berserked. It absolutely counterattacks even if it's Berserked. So... that's bad. So this is a serious fight that we're actually going to have to pay close attention to. So it's going to be considerably more obnoxious than farming the Flam Princesses. We basically have to treat every encounter like a boss fight. We're going to stack up a bunch of these red fangs. I'm going to give him Adrenaline, since he's probably going to spend a lot of his rounds at low HP anyway. I can't talk about the specific nature of Rose's Love because it's a PG-rated stream. So I'm just gonna have her Bard Song then, because this thing's gonna counterattack every round anyway. I'd have to start stacking up blinks to make take the beans out of his regular attack if I wanted to be safe. But I think this thing has like 60,000 hit points. I guess slow really doesn't matter then, because it's gonna do a bunch of counterattacks anyway. Well, it's not counterattacking everything though. It doesn't have a perfect counter rate. Kane doesn't even get a chance to land then. Well, okay. I need to put her spells that she uses in the top of the list up here. This thing didn't open with thermal rays so consistently. I might just put everybody else in critical. I might have to give her Omnicast back and give everybody Blink. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Oh, excuse me. I just ate dinner and I'm all burpy. It actually asked me to input a name. Because the little naming way guy was like, hey, who you banging? So I guess you could put in anybody's name. And that just seemed appropriate. I really wish the Marshmallow Summon were in this version. I miss the Marshmallow Summon. I think Cecil will do more damage with a regular attack, though, right now. Because I haven't powered up this Rose's Love ability that much. If I give him... I can't really give him cover as well as draw attacks. Because draw attacks, my thinking is it'll draw all of the enemy attacks that the enemy selects, but cover might draw the counter attacks as well. If they're low on health. Let's do this, actually. I'll have him cover edge. And that'll build this stat up while we're doing this grind. I just want to see if he'll cover a counterattack. That's what we need to find out now. Oh, that adrenaline's going to get some work done. If we could consistently keep Edge in that state. Yes, that still will cover that. Okay, so we can build up that while we're doing this grind. Nice. 2 birds, 1 stone. I wish we could just keep everybody in critical, but we can't because of that thermal raise spell. Yeah, because he always opens with that thermal raise. Like, he doesn't always do it, but he does it enough that I can't just consistently go in. But when he uses thermal raise, he almost always kills Edge. So what I should do is have Rydia Phoenix down Edge, and then Cecil can immediately cover him. Let's move the magic to where we need it to be. What else do we need in this fight? Raise. So there's not fire absorbing equipment. What I could do is, if Edge has equipment that reduces fire damage, I could then give him this cursed ring, which would turn it into absorption. But I don't know if Edge can equip anything that has fire resistance. Like, I don't know if his equipment set has anything useful in that regard. We'll move Phoenix down. Oh, they're already kind of at the top. I'm actually going to cover Rydia. He'll automatically cover Edge for the rest of this fight. This way he can cover 2 people. Nice. That's so. This is a weapon that we do have to get, but it's not one of the super rare drops. But it is. Oh, it's not better than this. It's probably not worth equipping this then, because he doesn't actually ever land. We could do this. Actually, I think Rose's arrows will do extra damage to this thing, too. So when we get the preemptive strike, we can avoid thermal rays. That will speed this up a little bit. She gets okay damage out of those arrows, because her arrows do extra damage to dragons as well. We have so many of these red fangs by the time we're done. I'm gonna heal everybody except Edge, because Thermal Rays kills him anyway, but in the off chance we don't see Thermal Rays, Edge will still be in critical condition. Like in this fight here, we might not see it. And then from this point, I can really just turn on auto battle. I guess I should double check and make sure that that critical counter actually does count towards Rose's love. Yeah, it sure is. Then from here, I think I'm going to take the auto battle. I wonder if Rose's Love can crit, actually. Attack might be a better command just because it can crit. So you can see the damage on that attack going up every counter. It's nice to see actual progress like that over the course of a grind session like this. I'm going to... Oh, Radia's not getting any stats anymore. Oh, probably because her intellect's just maxed out. She cannot get any more intellects. So she's just getting extra speed now. I'm going to set her to just defend. I could try this and see if it can be blinded, I guess. But sitting through the animation for Hero's Rhyme just doesn't matter. And if she's defending, I can have Cecil cover Rosa instead. I can move Phoenix down to the second spot. Alright, so I think we got a pretty good machine going here. Actually, very big variance in that damage. I've seen it go down to 3,200, and I've seen it top 4,000. Dragon Gloves. You've already got some. Don't need those. I mean, yeah, if the red tail drops, we'll go get the sword and we'll finish this up and we'll move on right on to the next game. Absolutely. Yesterday we went through 98 sirens. Oh, shoot. That's bad. I forgot to turn auto battle off. And this started happening to me. So I can't get to Rosa's turn because she input a command. Well, I got the preemptive and I screwed it up. I messed everything up forever. I wish it defaulted to auto battle off every time I went into a battle. To avoid this exact situation. Dude, we're gonna have so many of these Dragon Gloves. We're using 25 MP to do this. That's probably a good number to know. Kane, what are you doing, buddy? What was that? You're supposed to put the pointy end of the spear into the monster. Into it! We're gonna have so many pairs of dragon gloves. So this time we didn't get a preemptive, it's just, as its opening attack, it decided to try to punch somebody instead of putting out thermal rays. Fair enough. Every time Cecil covers like that, that Rose's Love ability gets a little bit stronger. But I'm very curious to see where that maxes out. So on the third playthrough, we're going to have to fight some of these dragons to get stuff like the Wyvern Lance to drop, because there's no other way to get those items. And they don't carry over. +2 cover. Just because Edge is so enticing in this fight. Almost screwed up the auto battle again. Wonder if slow is strictly necessary here. Guess it reduces the chance of like Kane or Rydia getting killed. Seeing that attack climb up over 4,000 more and more often now. We got one more fight, then we have to restore Rose's nips. And we're tapped. So now it's time to go use a cottage. I've got elixirs, but I guess I could just use an elixir and keep going. What else am I going to use them for, I guess? All I've got left is Zeramis, and how many elixirs could I use in that fight? 2, maybe 3? I kind of missed the Berserk beam coming down at like a weird angle. Something about it coming straight down out of the sky vertically gives the spell a little bit less character. Maybe I'm just being nitpicky. I actually haven't been blasted with thermal rays for a minute. If it opens with a punch, we're in good shape. I don't dare enter the battle with Rydia also in critical health, though. Because Rydia is the one we're counting on to revive Edge if we need to. There we go. There's a buddy. There's the red dragon we all know and love. So our use of Sirens is not going to outpace our use of Phoenix Downs, which is a nice bit of trivia. Well, in the 2D version of the game, the Berserk spell animation, it's the same like candy laser beam from outer space. It comes in an angle and it like engulfs the person in this radiant light. In this version, it's just like the space laser just comes down from above and then it's over. It does seem kind of petty to complain about space lasers. Like, maybe I should just be thankful that I have space lasers. Many children throughout the world do not have space lasers. Kane is such a crybaby. Oh my god, dude. Pull up your big boy pants. Is this or any version of Final Fantasy IV available on Switch? Does anybody know? I'm curious. No version of Final Fantasy IV is available on Switch, huh? Seems like a weird hole. This is one of the few Final Fantasy games Nintendo can like lay claim to. In both regions. Like, this was one of the quintessential role-playing games of the 1990s in North America. In some consideration, it could be a betrayal that Nintendo has embraced Cloud and Sephiroth and not the actual Final Fantasy characters that made their consoles the place to play RPGs back in the 90s. Like, Cecil and Terra did all the heavy lifting back in the 90s for the Super Nintendo. And now Nintendo's like, but let's have Cloud and Sephiroth. Seems disgraceful. So ungrateful, really. Terra walked so Cloud could run. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Final Fantasy VII was going to be incredibly popular no matter what. That game, like, dug out a new audience from the ground to play this style of games. But that wasn't on a Nintendo console. Like, Nintendo didn't have anything to do with that. In fact, Nintendo basically told Squaresoft, we don't want your games anymore, when they produced a cartridge-based console in 1996. A business decision that made little to no sense. But now we can celebrate Cloud and Sephiroth as the venerable Nintendo classic characters they've always been. Cecil's gonna die, and that's worrying. No, he's not. Edge has no magic defense because he's got, like, the power sash and stuff. Like, it's my fault that he's taking all that damage, but it doesn't matter that much. It's fine. I don't think New Game Plus carries over levels. If it does, we're going to have very suboptimal stats. But my understanding is it doesn't. Dead! Really, it doesn't matter in this fight anyway. World of Final Fantasy seems like a really good fit for Nintendo consoles. In fact, it's my understanding that the Switch version of World of Final Fantasy has a bunch of content that the PS4 version does not have. I think it's the only console that also has the Pocket version of Final Fantasy 15 for whatever that's worth. Which I still haven't played extensively. I started a game up, but I didn't get very far in it yet. I should buckle down and finish it at one point. It didn't turn me off or anything, it's hard for me to play games on Switch. I just don't get excited about it. See, I thought catching monsters in World of Final Fantasy was way more fun than doing it in Pokemon, because, first of all, you can carry way more monsters in your active party than you can in a Pokemon party. Like, you can walk around with like 20 monsters to level up. Which means you have like passing attachment to way more monsters. And also the just individual monsters level up in much more interesting ways, and you can do a lot more with them. It's just a better system overall. It's the best Pokemon game. Remember, I wrote a critique of Pokemon Shield on my blog, and I compared it to World of Final Fantasy, because part of why I was interested in buying Pokemon Shield after like 30 years of never playing a Pokemon game was because I had played World of Final Fantasy, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of into this. Let's see what the Pokemon folks are doing these days. And somebody left an angry comment on the blog basically saying, that game's garbage and Pokemon's the real game. How dare you? Oh, I stand corrected. Is it weird that I dedicate so much brain space to remembering every nasty internet comment I've ever gotten? Just need you to cover, and then we're good to auto. I didn't know there was a Chocobo Mystery Dungeon on Switch. Mystery Dungeon games are usually good times. I know the new Sheeran the Wanderer game on Steam looks rough, but I imagine it plays fine. The graphics look kind of garbo, and the translation leaves a lot to be desired, is my understanding, based on the one screenshot that I've seen. If you like Final Fantasy and you like Mystery Dungeon, I highly recommend playing Last Mission in Final Fantasy X-2 HD. If you want to try one, you already own 10-2 HD, I imagine, don't you? Don't you not have that collection? Because you might as well try one that you already have access to rather than go buy one. Only to find out that you don't really enjoy it. How long do I expect Final Fantasy 1 to take? Maybe 2 or 3 streams, if that. It's a pretty quick game. I'll be doing a more thorough playthrough than I typically do of Final Fantasy 1. And I won't be playing on a version of the ROM that has, like, quality of life stuff like fast walking and buy 99 items. I'm going to be playing on just the vanilla version of the ROM. You don't have to unlock Last Mission. It should just be available from Power On. Technically, you won't understand the story if you haven't played 10-2, but that also doesn't matter at all. I love when this dude doesn't open with thermal rays. That's just makes my life so much easier. So the thing about Last Mission is every dress sphere from 10-2 is available as a job in Last Mission. But I don't think you have to have played 10-2 to understand what the dress spheres do. In fact, like, you could probably do the experimentation with the dress spheres in Last Mission and then get a good sense of what they do in 10-2 when you go back and play it. And some, I guess not all of them. Some of them are different because it's a mystery dungeon game. It's not an RPG anymore, so they had to make considerable changes to a lot of the jobs. But I actually don't know how long a typical NES playthrough of Final Fantasy 1 takes for me. I've never actually timed myself. And we're going to be doing a more thorough playthrough, like I said. I'm going to be opening all the treasures in all the dungeons. Normally, I don't do anything close to that. I think it's actually fairly rare that he starts out with thermal rays, because he's not doing it very often, if at all, anymore. Fair enough. Let's keep stacking up, kids. One of you guys is going to let me have your tail. I guess their tails evaporate upon death. That's the problem. I'll also say that Last Mission is a fairly easy mystery dungeon game. Most of them tend to be more difficult than Last Mission. Last Mission also doesn't have a very strong identify game. One of the hallmarks of mystery dungeon as a genre, which it gets from roguelikes in general, is that items you pick up have a descriptive name, like you found the red jar or the bumpy jar or whatever. But you have to determine what on that playthrough those jars actually do. Or magic wands or staves or herbs or whatever it is in that particular game. And Last Mission doesn't have as much of that as most mystery dungeon games tend to have. Because more of the game is based around your job and playing it correctly. And getting through encounters without using too many resources. Which is a good thing. It's nice to play a mystery dungeon game that has a much different feel than most mystery dungeon games. But it's something you'll notice if you play Last Mission and then decide you enjoy it and go back to play, like, Chocobo Mystery Dungeon or Shiren the Wanderer, or... I don't know if they've made another Tornico Mystery Dungeon. That was actually the first one, I think, was on SNES. They made Tornico's Mystery Dungeon based on Dragon Quests. And then they went on to make Shiren the Wanderer, which was their own IP. And they've kind of hoarded themselves out to a whole bunch of different studios. They've done a Pokemon one. So there's been 2 Final Fantasy ones. So there's been Chocobo. I think Chocobo Mystery Dungeon is one of the more popular ones. Just gonna club Rydia down, huh? Cecil didn't take any damage at all in that battle. That's weird. Very, very weird indeed. There's your boy. There's the thermal rays we know and love. But to give a sense of perspective, I did like 80-something Shiren the Wanderer videos and never came close to completing the game. Which amounts to, let's see, every 3 videos would be about an hour. 80 divided by 3 is like 9 point something. math. I don't know how long I spent playing Sheer in the Wanderer. It feels like I played it for hundreds of hours. But last mission I completed, I think my second or third run. I kind of wonder like how hardcore mystery dungeon aficionados consider last mission. Like I wonder, is there like stigma against it because it's kind of one of the easier ones? And it has girls in it. Real mystery dungeon games don't have girl characters. And then if you play last mission, you cheat not only the game, but also yourself or whatever. There's also a status ailment in last mission that makes your clothes fall off and you have to walk around in your underwear. It's actually proven to be a pretty good way to level up my counter. I'm glad we're making progress on 2 separate axes here. That kind of takes the teeth out of the grind a little bit. I kind of want to check that progress, but I don't want to fall in the trap of going and checking the cover progress every few battles and become obsessed with it. It was at 14 last I looked at it, so maybe after we actually get the tail, I'll check it again and see how far we've come. Tiger's upset about something. He's upset because he woke up alive again today. mean, I could definitely see the improvement in the Rosa's Love attack over time. It's definitely going up. +2 covers right there. 'Cause this thing just wants Edge's D so bad. I have not yet solved the puzzle of what to actually name the party in Final Fantasy 1. The difficulty in this decision is it can't just be any old name, because we're not just playing through the game, we're doing the almost perfect save. So what are the perfect names for the Light Warriors in Final Fantasy 1? Is there an objective way to answer that question? If there is, those are the names I should clearly choose. I know it's popular to kind of give them names based on their jobs, like name the fighter Fight and the Black Mage Burn or Kill or something, but I've always thought that was silly, and I don't think I want to take that route. I've done all the work to determine what spells and equipment each Light Warrior is going to carry, but I haven't given any thought yet to what we're actually going to call them. So Rydia's only HP gain is from her item command. Having the item command equipped, which every character always does, always grants +10 HP. She's not getting HP from any other source right now. Like, that's it for her. What she has is pretty much what she's gonna have. The first time we completed Final Fantasy 1 as kids, the first time we played the game all the way to completion, we used the party Fighter, Black Belt, Red Mage, and Black Mage, and their names were Joe, Tiny, Zack, and Onyx. Onyx is a good Black Mage name. And Tiny is a great Black Belt name. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a Black Belt in our almost perfect party. You can't name a white mage Tiny. That just doesn't make any sense. Otherwise, I would go with those names for nostalgia purposes. Maybe in Dawn of Souls. No, in Dawn of Souls we have default names to choose from. So we won't actually pick character names in Dawn of Souls. We will select them from the list of pre-made defaults. Maybe we should do that for the NES version too. Edge is getting extra hit points from somewhere, but I'm not sure where. Something he's got equipped is giving him an extra 5 hit points per level. And not only was the fighter's name Joe, but it was spelled empty space J-O empty space. That's how we did it. So it was like Joe, but centered in the Final Fantasy 1 character block. So yeah, that move can crit, which is good. Still pales in comparison to his regular attack, though. Like, he's got a ways to go, clearly. We didn't do a lot of fine-tuning for this battle. I feel like the Flan Princess, we had to try a bunch of different stuff before we found something that worked really well. But this fight's going pretty swimmingly. And this is, I think, the hardest dragon we have to grind. I think all the other dragons we have to fight are going to be a little easier than this. Kane, you miss a lot, brother. Might have to send you back to school. The problem with planning out augments for stat growth isn't having enough of the proper augments. It's trying to balance giving them augments for stats versus augments they'll actually use in combat. Like, I have no shortage of, like, plus speed augments. It's just so few of them are actually useful in terms of doing something in combat. But it's not something we seriously have to worry about until the third playthrough. Four augments we don't have for any character are the 4 Fiend augments, each of which give multiple stats. It's actually not that goofy of a mechanic. It's actually a pretty standard mechanic in Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy 3, your equipped job can determine your stat at level up. Final Fantasy 6, your equipped Esper does. Final Fantasy 9, your equipment just in general determines your stats at level up. So it's actually a pretty common mechanic in Final Fantasy games. One more fight, then I have to Elixir. That I don't actually know that that's the case. I think you get stat ups for your augments at every level up. It's just at level 72, you stop gaining stats in general. So the only stat ups you get after that point are from augments. I think you still get stats from level up throughout the game. So the second and third playthrough, when Rydia can start with that Bard Song augment and a couple other plus speed augments, I can give her plus 2 or 3 speed per level up while she's a child. So the first 10 or 15 levels or whatever she gets. And then the third playthrough, I'll be able to optimize that even more because I'll have access to even more augments. In fact, for much of the third playthrough, I expect characters are going to have access to all the augments they'll ever have access to. Yeah, see, Rose is getting plus 10 HP. I don't know if there is another good HP augment. Cecil's getting plus 20. Oh, because he's got Rose's Love equipped. And Rose's Love is plus everything. Alright, let's feed the boys some elixirs. Thermal rays is like a warm visit from a comforting old friend. In fact, Rydia's speed is something I'm probably going to really focus on the third playthrough. Her and Rosa both. Neither of those characters needs strength at all, but everybody needs speed and everybody needs spirit. Kane's getting 30 hit points. I think he's winning. No. No, thank you. Oh, does attack give HP? I thought it was just items. Okay, that explains why the guys are getting more HP overall. I don't think Kane has jump at the moment, though. I think I took his jump away. Because he wasn't landing to deal damage to these dragons anyway. And even if he could, he wouldn't enjoy the full bonus damage because he would be hitting the damage cap. Yeah, every command, like, gives stuff, but I thought attack only gave +1 strength. I was just misinformed as to what I got from the attack command. I thought it was just items is just +10 HP, and you can't unequip items. They don't let you take that command away. I mean, the source of my information is the Final Fantasy Wiki, which, as we all know, is the authority on every Final Fantasy mechanics question you could possibly ask. Except when it's not. Which is more often than I'd like. It's like, it's correct enough, often enough, that I keep using it as a source of information. But it's incorrect enough, often enough, that I can't help but make fun of it. I'm trying to resist the temptation to check my cover counter. Because I don't want to get in the habit of checking it every few battles, even though I'm really curious. So we'll check it when I get the tail and not before. So as long as my number of Phoenix Downs is higher than my number of Sirens, which it is now, this engine won't stall out before we run out of Sirens. Did Rosa just miss with her bow? She's berserk. She berserked herself. Because I'm a lunatic. This is potentially not good. Because he can thermal raise twice and wipe me. Okay, we're fine. That could have gone very, very badly for me. I'm actually surprised that's the first time I made that error. How dare they make Cry one of the best commands in the game? Like, why would that be something you would do? It's just an absurdly strong command. Yeah, I agree. Like, Cry, you can't give it to Edge because he has too many commands already. Like, all the other characters in your party, just their augment slots are just almost full from the beginning, whereas Kain has 2 empty ones from the beginning. So any, like, absurdly good command that's just something good to do kind of goes to Kain by default. Before I start the second playthrough, I'm going to sit down and make a list of my augments to make absolutely sure I know which ones have to go to these characters in the second playthrough. Like, we're going to have 2 copies of Bless, and what else? I forget the other one. I think Analyze and Bless. We're going to have 2 copies to assign next playthrough. 2 of them have to go to Edward, so we can get Hide and Salve. But then the other 2 we'll get later in the game we can assign to this party. So by the end of the second playthrough, I should have access to all augments in the party for use on at least one character. I think we're also going to use our second playthrough to plug up some holes in the bestiary that we have. And then the main focus of the third playthrough is just going to be completing the inventory. Because the inventory is the one that you can actually screw up permanently. Those are long-term plans. Right now I'm just fighting these red dragons. These really red dragons, after we berserk them, they become like absurdly red dragons. And then we cry at them and they become dark, absurdly red dragons. I haven't seen that command do less than 4,000 damage for a while now. So we are climbing that jonky. I don't know what a jonky is. I don't think anybody does. It sounds vaguely offensive, though. Like, you wouldn't want to get called a jonky. I kind of wish the upgrade command were more useful. It was really useful in the Dark Elf fight, and that's about it. There's just nowhere else really in the game where that command is going to come into... Well, you could give it to Cecil really early on for some of the bosses. Like against Cagnazzo or the Octomammoth. If you have the items, I don't even think you could have items by that point, though, to upgrade with. It's a nice idea for a command, it's just not that practical. There's so few boss fights that actually have elemental weaknesses you really want to target with regular attacks. That's half our sirens. They are half gone. That'd be pretty funny if you could do that. Just use a potion to turn it into a holy attack. That'd be really useful against Scarmiglione, if nothing else. Because Cecil's just really dead weight in that fight. Maybe he won't be with the Onion Blade, though. Maybe he'll be much, much better because he's not using a Dark Element weapon. Oh, I think it's the first time I've seen that break 5,000. Oh, I just berserked Rosa. Well, it worked for me last time. Maybe it'll work for me again. Apples and Soma drops carry over. My understanding is that those, the rare tails and the items you can get by exchanging rare tails, augments and progress through the Naming Way quest are the only items that carry over. That's the only thing you can move from one save to the next. Rosa's just bad if she's not aiming. My goodness. What does make me apprehensive, though, is a lot of the information floating around about this version of the game is actually for the DS version. And there are subtle differences between the DS version, the iOS version, and this version of the game. Like, I can't be absolutely sure that anything I read about this version of Final Fantasy IV actually applies. Because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of sites out there just grabbed information from the DS version and just assumed it carried over and didn't actually put in the work to do some fact-checking. I shouldn't have any tails anyway, because I'm going to redeem my tails as I get them. I'm curious to see if the After Years RNG manipulation still works in the PSP version of the game. Very curious indeed. I know the RNG manipulation worked on the Wii version, but I guess I should add the other couple games to the list that I've decided on. We probably should play the After Years during this, the PSP version. I should put Chrono Trigger on the list, because Chrono Trigger is a Final Fantasy game. I keep saying that, and so far nobody has argued with me, so I think it's just kind of universally accepted that Chrono Trigger is a Final Fantasy game. I think everybody's just on board with that idea. That's fine. I'd love to play Mystic Quest at some point this year. I just don't know what I could do to get a perfect save file other than just max out character levels. I don't know what else there is. And really it's just the main characters level, because your support characters level is always fixed in that game. There's like no mini games, or there's no like collectathons to do. Doesn't track your bestiary. It doesn't. Even if it did, like, it would be trivial to fight every monster in the game. There's no super bosses. You don't have to go out of your way to learn any spells or get any equipment. Getting 99 of each item is absolutely trivial because you can just get them out of brown chests. Oh yeah, if I do the After Years, I would commit to grinding each challenge dungeon to get maximized characters, yes. The RNG manipulation on most of those was not terrible. I don't want to say I probably didn't spend more than 12 hours or so, or 15 hours in any given individual chapter in the After Years on the Wii version as they were coming out. You could complete the story like inside an hour or two, and then you spent 10 hours or so doing the RNG manipulation. But the like the level cap in most chapters was 40. Okay, Kane's not dead. He just doesn't have magic. I saw a big gray splotch in that menu. I'm like, wait a minute. Did somebody die and I'm just so zoned out I didn't notice? What's happening here? The warm, comforting embrace of thermal rays. Some of the extra characters in the After Years actually get really strong if you level them up. Leonara, the red mage that like wants Palam's D, she gets bad spells until like level 70, then she starts getting stuff like Curaja and Meteor. Edge could survive that if I changed his equipment. He's got a power sash and giant's gloves right now, which raise his strength considerably, but his magic defense is literally 0. But I could give Edge equipment to allow him to survive that right now. Oh, I'm berserking them every fight. We're about 50-something sirens in now. Sometimes I forget to push the button and Rosa berserks herself, and that's pretty funny. But we're not in any real danger of losing this fight. We can eat probably 3 thermal rays before we're in real danger, and I haven't seen more than 1 in any encounter so far. But we're leaving Edge at that amount of hit points because if the dragon attacks somebody as its opening attack, Edge survives, then can use Adrenaline. If he uses Thermal Rays, Edge dies, but then Rydia can revive him and he can use Adrenaline. So either way, I'm getting the benefit of Adrenaline. One of the ninjas is actually really good, like stupid good. Tsukinawa is one of the ninjas, and his speed is just so outrageous. It's absurd. He has like the highest speed in the game, and he gets Edge's smoke ability. All 4 of the ninjas get like one aspect of Eblin's character, or one aspect of Edge's character. Like one of them can throw, and one of them can use like fire magic. And the fastest one has the smoke ability. So you put him in the party and you can just run from every random encounter instantly. Is he also the one with dual wield? There are other characters that I never saw get any good, like Edward's secretary. What's her name? I don't remember now. And then Luca's robot friends, like, just always suck. But whatever, I'll level them up. I'll get them to 99, I don't care. Ursula is also really good. Yang's daughter. She was pretty strong. I liked her. Like, you have to find rare drops just to keep the dolls in the party, is my recollection. If 99 is the cap on this cover, I think I'd be surprised if we didn't reach it during this grind. This monster has, I think, 60,000 hit points. All the encounters in this area of the game is just given the boss music because it's the last area of the game, and all the encounters, all the monsters here are super tough. But no, this monster, I think he's got 60,000 hit points, that's enough hit points, I think. I think we can all agree it's plenty. He just loves Rosa so much. I think it's the first time we've seen it crack 6,000 damage. That was on a critical though, so maybe it doesn't count. So Cecil has an attack called Rosa's Love that gets a little bit stronger every time he covers somebody, and we think that the cap on that is 99, but we're not actually sure. Just to walk you guys through the strategy of the fight, we're putting slow and berserk on it. By putting berserk on it, it can't attack us except with regular attacks and counterattacks. But it can't use its big thermal raise spell, which is its big fire damage spell that always kills Edge. We're leaving Edge at low health because he has an augment called Adrenaline, so he gets a big attack bonus for being at low health. With this party setup, Cecil will always cover Edge from regular attacks because he's at critical health. And I'm having him cover Rosa as well to guarantee 2 people that he can cover every combat in order to build up that number for the Rosa's Love attack. If the dragon opens with a punch, we just slow and berserk it, use Cry to reduce its defense, and then just go ham on it. If it opens with Thermal Raise, Edge dies, but it's the same strategy, just Rydia throws a Phoenix down real quick. So at no point in this process are we in any actual danger. As long as we remember to heal the peoples, and as long as I don't accidentally have Rosa berserk herself instead of the dragon. Like right here, it opened with a punch, so we're not in danger of thermal raise, so I just cover, Cry, and then put it on auto battle, and everybody will just do the thing they need to do. So every time you see Cecil jump in front of Edge or Rosa like that, it increments that cover counter, and this Rosa's Love attack gets a little bit stronger. It was doing about 3,200 when we started this grind. We were at 14 covers. And now he's closing in on 5,000 with it. But we're not actually going to check the number. Oh, he just blew 5,000 away right there. Once we actually get the drop I'm looking for, that's when we'll check and see what number we're at. We're looking for a drop called the Red Tail. Which we can turn in for an Onion Sword. Which will carry over to the second playthrough of the game, and it should make Cecil really strong on that playthrough. This is the last drop we need for this playthrough of the game. We have the other two already. And then we don't have to do any more just grinding until the third playthrough, which won't be... We're going to put this game back on the shelf after we kill Zeromus and come back to it at a later date to complete the rest of the checklists. There's not really anything useful for Rydia to do in this fight, so she's just defending every round. Anything I could give her to do would be less damage than Edge and Kane are putting out. Hey, there we go. We're done. That's that. So, abilities. Cecil. 64 times, so we didn't max that out. We actually got the red tail pretty quick, though. We got it quicker than I was expecting. So now I put safe travel on. So now I have to leave this dungeon and walk all the way back through it again later. So about 2 hours that took. That's not terrible. That's not terrible at all. So I think there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 10 more super rare drops we're going to go for in this game. And if each one takes about 2 hours, you figure that's a 10-hour grind. Figure 3 hours though. We'll say it's a 30-hour grind. Because last night's grind took almost the complete. Well, no, because we spent the first hour of yesterday's stream finishing maps and fighting Ogopogo. And we didn't have safe travel either. So we got two of the best items in the game, and the clock is still only 34 hours in this game. Well, we're about to go cash in the last tail from this playthrough, and then we're going to go kill Zeromus. And then we'll spend the remainder of the stream playing Final Fantasy 1. So we have to... Okay, we can't just think of good names for the Final Fantasy 1 party. We have to think of the perfect names. We're trying to do the almost perfect save. So it has to be the perfect names for a fighter, a red mage, a white mage, and a black mage. Four letters each, all caps, of course. Onion sword. Alright, so let's give Kane his good lance back. Sword that grows stronger with the wielder. I dig it. I dig it. Alright. Going into Zeromus, this is fine. Let's put Omnicast and Big HP back on. You're fine for Zeromus. No, you're not. Yeah, you got focus. You're fine. We want focus or darkness? We want jump for sure. We'll do focus, jump, focus, jump. He'll alternate. You are going to want... I think you're good, actually. You're definitely good. No, you're not. We need to steal from Zeromus. For sure. We're not going to use this at all, so we'll put that on just in case. Alright, I think this is a good Zeromus, and they'll make sure to... replace this with... there's nothing to cover in this room. This fight is there. You really don't need anything else. You're fine with just this. We'll just replace safe travel with Rose's Love when we get back there. I think what I'll do is I'll look up the Dawn of Souls default names list. Because the Dawn of Souls version... I think Origins did it first. But the remakes of Final Fantasy I have default names that name characters after kind of obscure characters from throughout the series. From like the first 9 games. Maybe we'll just find one for each character that comes in under 4 letters. Yeah, see, hit, burn, heal, kick is the kind of stuff I'm trying to avoid. The meme names are not appropriate for the almost perfect save. I feel like maybe I am not expressing properly the gravitas of the almost perfect save. This is not just any playthrough of Final Fantasy I. This is the playthrough that I'm going to save forever. Like, I'm going to frame it. This is the playthrough of Final Fantasy I that if I still lived with my mother, she would hang it on the fridge. Yeah. But the reason we're doing this party is because Fighter, Red Mage, White Mage, Black Mage will give me access to the most, like the greatest assortment of unique equipment and spells. We're only going to be missing 2 spells out of all 64. I think the only item we can't equip in the game is the katana. And we'll be able to carry every unique spellcasting item in our inventory. Zeza in Final Fantasy V is the original... It's like a mistranslation of Zezat. Zezat is the king in the second world who attacks Exdeath's tower with you. He's the one who... I mean, you take his submarine after he blows himself up in the tower. He's one of the 4 original Warriors of Dawn who were Galuf's friends. The Warriors of Dawn were Galuf, Zezat, the werewolf Kelger, and Bartz's father Dorgan. So Zeza would actually be a really good name, because I think Z-E-Z-A is the way that name was translated in the original PS1 translation of Final Fantasy V, which was the first localization we got. And it wasn't until the advanced version that it became Zezat, which is, I guess, more correct. So the 2 spells we're not going to be getting are Stop and Exfer. They're both level 8 spells, and the reason we have to leave them behind is a Red Wizard can't learn any level 8 spells. Due to a quirk in what spells Red Wizards are allowed to learn, my Black Wizard will not be allowed to learn Ice 3 or Lightning 3. So that's kind of funny. But we'll have access to every single other spell in the game. The idea is that the White and Black Wizard will have 3 spells for their level, and then the Red Wizard will have 1 each White and Black spell that they weren't able to get. This is not going to be a consideration when I play the PSP version, because in that version you can just, at any time you want, forget a spell you've learned and replace it. So in that version I think I'm going to go with a black belt instead, or a monk, I guess, in that translation, instead of a red mage. So that playthrough will probably be fighter, black belt, white mage, black mage. Because then I have access to all of the magic, almost all of the equipment, and I think it's just like, Monk is one of the more unique characters in the game. So it'll just be nice to have one in the party. I've also decided not to optimize stat gains in Final Fantasy 1. Like, if you really want to, you can save scum every level up for every character and make sure that all 49 of their level ups are strong ones. But that's just not necessary in the slightest. I'm just not interested in doing that much work, to be honest. I'll be interested to see if I can actually identify all of the Final Fantasy 1 default names. So yeah, this is it. This is the final save for this playthrough, and I'm going to put it in slot 3 at 34 hours played. So Coco is Bart's Chocobo's girlfriend. Nina is the Onion Kids, or I guess just Luniths in the remake, adopted mother, and Zoc is the minor character from Final Fantasy V that has the key to the canal in the beginning of the game. Actually, I'll bet anything. I'm actually surprised Doga isn't on the list for Black Mage. I would expect Doga and Une to be on the Black and White Mage lists. Because Doga and Une would be good names for Black and White Magic users. I know that Kluya is on the Red Mage list, but Kluya won't fit in 4 characters. For White Mage, Elia sounds like it's a mistranslation of Arya, who is the Maiden of Water from Final Fantasy III. Luca is the Dwarf Princess in 4. Noah is the Great Magus in Final Fantasy III that trained Doga, Une, and Xandi. Ruby is one of the actors in Zidane theater ship troupe. Sarah's the princess. That should not even be on the list. Sarah's the princess in Final Fantasy 1. Cuckoo, I don't know. It sounds like one of the Moogles from Final Fantasy 6. I love the way this map looks back there. That's just awesome looking. I mean, it was great looking in the original tiles, too, on the SNES version, but... like, if everybody wants to just hit print screen and make this their... Here, hold on, let me... Everybody's going to hit print screen and make this their desktop, so I'll just go ahead and give you... Alright, that should have given everybody enough time to, You guys can thank me for the desktop wallpaper. That's not a Patreon perk or anything, that's just available to all viewers. Enjoy. Cuckoo's one of the Moogles. Okay, that sounds right. So we have to steal from Zeromus. Thanks for doing this detective work, McLean. It's actually very helpful. This friggin' guy. I love how they make Fusaya use white magic here. Like, slow is a good white magic spell. But I guarantee no player has ever cast hold in the history of Final Fantasy IV. And it doesn't even work. Like... Do the Meteo now! Corey is the astronomer in 4. Mid is Sid's grandson. Tot is Princess Garnet's tutor from 9. Yura is the leader of the Espers that attack the Empire in 6. Gil is a mistranslation of the turtle in 5. He's been called Gil and now he's called Guido. Lola, I'm not sure.
We did it. What a waste.
I can't bring Lola to mind.
Incredible power. And all
I kind of like Corey for the Red Mage, though. Corey's pretty good.
Hey! Oh, you've come.
Looks like we were too late. You were supposed to leave him for me.
Zoc, Noah, Corey. Those are all good names. I would expect Noah to be the Red Mage, though, because he's like the Great Magus. He should be the master of all spells. Science Pen Pal. Yes, that's correct. My girlfriend Lola. She's a fox. Ain't no bunny like the one I got. My water bottle is particularly crackly tonight. I mean, Mid is a pretty major character too, though. And Luca and Noah, they're fairly major. Well, I don't know. They're not like super obscure characters. Like Luca is a fairly important character to Final Fantasy IV's story without being a major character. But she's not an obscure character the way that like Nina is. Or Cuckoo. Or even Corey. Like, you can go through all of Final Fantasy IV and never even meet Corey, and then in the end of the game just be like, who's this nerd? And I think Ruby is a fairly memorable character in 9. Like, she has her whole little side plot that you can watch in ATEs. None of which we will be watching on our playthrough. Unless there's a Steam achievement for watching all the ATEs. I might have to do 2 playthroughs of Final Fantasy IX if that's the case. Oh, he's in the house alright. Dr. House. MD. That's a face right there, man. So he's just like a hairball with a Halloween mask in this version.
Indeed. Now is the time we
Wait, did they get their crystal back? Who gave their crystal back? I missed that. I thought all the crystals were on the moon. Oh no, I think they did a great job making this game look super charming.
Return safe. For the sake of the whole earth.
Rise up. Our prayers are with you. Come on, you can do it! Cecil! Everyone!
Great moon.
They kind of lose track of what crystals go where at some point in this game. So I guess all the Earth crystals are still supposed to be in the Tower of Babel then. So... And then Golbez just gives Cecil a crystal here that's not any particular crystal. It's just a crystal he happens to be holding. I'm gonna throw so many Wyvern Lances at Zeromus, you guys.
Zeromus. This is the end for you, not us.
I have so many Wyvern Lances to chuck at this nerd. I do wish they had let you build a party at the end of the game, though. I like that version of the end game so much better than augments. I mean, you could have both, honestly. You could have augments and the end game party swap. Like, there's no reason to have one system or the other. Tell it you dead. Shut up. I don't want no dead people talking to me. My goodness. Yeah, he has Rose of Love. He's fine. So we've got about 30 more covers to do before Rose's Love is maxed out. It's just Yang is standing on the wrong side of this fight. That's all I'm saying. He needs to be standing on this side of the fight, so he can karate all over this alien's face. I suspect I will have no trouble at all fighting this boss. I just don't think he's going to be any kind of threat. And I gave Rosa Omnicasting back so she can haste everybody. Oh, I didn't give her back her staff, though. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Dual cast. Let's go. Oh, we got the Dark Matter first try. Beautiful. Let's go with Shell on everyone and Haste on everyone. It's a cool looking sword. We have 12 Wyvern Lances. Here you go. Have one. Enjoy. Ooh, I wasn't expecting that. I'm just going to sit on her turn. for exactly that reason. We are going to be reapplying these buffs a lot. So what can you cast? I guess Meteor. How do you absorb Flare? That don't make no sense. I'd rather not grind up a second one, but it is an option we have if we really do need it. You're probably better off just attacking, honestly, than throwing lances. Yeah, there we go. Don't osmos me, bro! Black Hole didn't remove the Cry status, though. He still has that. I thought it removed all buffs and debuffs, or all buffs or debuffs from all party members, but I guess not. Yes, Jump gets a spear bonus in this version. He gets double damage if you have a spear equipped. Was about to revive Edge, but okay. That's what happens when you grind dragons to level 83. I didn't see Big Bang once, no. His AI routine is different in this version than the 2D version. Alright, I get to update my list here again. The almost perfect save. I get to put a check mark by story completion.
You've truly done it. I'd no
Feels good, man.
idea there was such strength in you. You of the blue planet may have
technically I've opened all the treasures, but they'll be closed again in the next playthrough, so we still have a ways to go.
Look that way, doesn't it?
But what of the final words Aromas spoke?
I'll put the After Years and Chrono Trigger on the list later tonight.
Evil in men's hearts. We all of us bear a touch of darkness, just as surely as we bear light. Much as with
get back to work, man.
Crystals.
You lay about. I'm glad you were here for the big kill. So we finished the first out of like 27 Final Fantasy games we'll be playing over the course. This is actually the 2021, my big 2021 project. I just figured I would probably have to start it a month early in order to get it all done.
To overcome the shadow cast by Zemus.
Well, now that you mention it, I did feel a bit of glow.
Oh my goodness, Edge.
Are you joking? It's a miracle Zemus didn't end up using you.
My love of justice kept him at bay, no doubt.
Well then.
Edge's voice actor doesn't sound like he belongs in this game. He sounds like he belongs in like a bad superhero cartoon.
We will return to our planet.
Our friends are waiting.
I see. You are lucky to have such.
I
friends.
tried trimming the
I
streams
look
at
forward
first
the day
to like
we
trim
can
out
meet again.
like the pre-stream slide,
Might you
but YouTube's like editor is bad.
You would join
The first
me?
time I misunderstood which part of the trim was going to be saved, so it only saved like the first 8 minutes, so I had to undo that. And then when I set it to trim the rest of it, no kidding, the processing took 28 hours. And I'm like, I can't, if I'm going to be streaming 3-4 times a week doing this project, I can't have 28-hour processing happening on YouTube. I just can't. So,
I do. Cecil, you called me brother. I suppose I can expect no more than that. All you've suffered until now.
I could probably drop the stream for 2 minutes and then bring it right back up so things stay segmented. That's probably a good idea.
And sleep. We will pray for the peace of your planet.
I probably should have done that with the grinding, actually, so the Flan Princess and the Red Dragon grinding weren't part of just the story playthrough, but...
Your brothers.
You know what? This scene bothers me, and it... Never mind him being brother. Gomez has murdered, like, thousands of people. He's... Like, yeah, I get it, at the end of the game, they just let him walk away, like...
Farewell,
He doesn't ever have to
my brother.
face the things he's done. He just gets to go on vacation in outer space. And apparently he's still like 12 years old. And he has whiskers. Well, that's the thing, is they established that in order to be mind controlled by an alien, you have to already have, like, evil inclinations. So even if Gomez had never been mind controlled by the alien, he still would have done evil things. Oh man, the Mysidian legend in this version. Dreamtide oaths resworn. That's just a great phrase. Ugh. And Kane even admits, like, yeah, I was mind controlled, but I also liked having the opportunity to get close to Rosa without Cecil around. Because I want her to pick me over Cecil, but I know that she never ever will. Like, when he rejoins the party, next time you play the game, pay attention to the dialogue in the Tower of Zot. In every version of this game that I'm aware of, he's like, yeah, I was mind-controlled, but I also... So, I think the implication here is that Kane's desire to be close to Rosa, because he knows that she'll never pick him over Cecil, is what gives Golbez the in to control his mind. And whatever evil was in Golbez's heart because he was angry at Cecil for killing his parents, that's a lot more violent in the 3D version. Like, I expect him to have a black eye now. So the little girl that Palom was macking on there is actually an important character for later. Has anybody explained to this seneschal that the woman that Edge is lusting after, like, is best friends with a space dragon? There are some differences. Let's be honest. I feel like there are some important differences between humans and Eidolons. Humans don't walk around on fire, for one thing. Step 1, replace the rug. Like, let's get this old rug out of here to start with. I don't remember what Edward's hair looked like in the after years. He's supervising. What do you mean he's not helping? Maybe you don't backtalk the king. Maybe he'll throw you in a dungeon forever. I don't know much in this world, but I do know you're not supposed to backtalk the king. See, Cain, like, puts in the time to, like, pay penance for the evil things he's done. Golbez is just like, bye, going to outer space forever. So is the sun purple in this universe? Yeah, if Rydia spent another 20 years in the Feymarch, because figure she spent a few weeks in the Feymarch in the story of this game, and ages, let's say 10 years. Let's say she goes from like 7 to 17 or something. Another 20 years in the Feymarch, she should be 83,000 years old in the after years. She should not look the same. I wonder, like, why it was written that way. Like, some writer made the decision, like, we're gonna age this character up to be 17. Like, I don't really understand the reasoning behind it, and it's not a plot point that ever comes back in the game at all. Like, your characters can go down there and they never age. And no other character, like, it's no other character in this game ages like that. And it doesn't really accomplish anything in the plot, except I guess you can have Edge lusting after her, and that would be inappropriate if she was 7. But I have to figure that, like, maybe the original writers just were like, we can't have a 7-year-old help save the world. That doesn't make any sense. But then if that's the case, why not just have her 17 at the start of the game? Like, she's just a teenager in the beginning of the game, and she's mad at Cecil for killing her mother. It's like they needed two separate characters, but they didn't... Like, they also have to be the same character. Is that the meteor? That's it? Fusaya just steers it towards some other planet? Doesn't Rosa wear her wedding dress in the after years when she's in the party? Like, isn't she... And the torches don't have a face. I love it. This is such a cool scene to see after seeing the 2D version of it. Yang's wife was not invited to the wedding. Not allowed to come. Also, don't put on a shirt or anything. That's fine. Porum is every bit of a brat as Palom is. That's one of my favorite little gags from the game, is that Palom is the one that's always acting up, but Porum is every bit of a brat. I don't know, Tsukinawa doesn't suck. We were talking about Tsukinawa being pretty good earlier. Sid's daughter also not invited to the coronation. She has to stay at home. Random soldiers and black mages, they can come for days. Yang's wife, who is the queen of a neighboring country, not so much. Also, no Troyan priestesses were allowed to come. So I like this version of the game, but this specific port of this version has bad input issues. It eats inputs on your menus, and sometimes that causes you to input commands you did not want to input. And also Rosa has to go the whole game in her underwear, and I'm not sure why. Everybody else gets to wear clothes, but Rosa has to be in her underwear for the whole game. Yang's wife has a name, I want to say, in some... Why do I want to say it's... It starts with an N, doesn't it? Nina? Nana or something? There's some version of the game where she has a name, I thought. She's such a brat. Sheila, where... Sheila, okay. Where is she named Sheila? It has to be in the after years. Sid is the only character in this game that doesn't get a CG render. Damn, that's cold, dude. I'd bang Edge. Like, whatever. That's fine. I don't know what she's so stuck up about. Like, she's not going to do any better than Edge, let's be honest. Like, she can't date that guy. That guy's dead. They're also dead. Technically not dead, because Luca repurposes them. Very dead. I mean, he was dead to start with. Dead and stupid. Also dead. Technically not underwear. That's like a dancer's outfit from Dragon Quest. Very dead. This freaking guy. I'm glad we don't have to deal with him anymore. He dies in the after years, I think. Fusega doesn't survive the after years. I guess in the after years, Golbez comes back and helps save the world, so maybe he gets his penance that way. What kind of we know what kind of monsters that Rydia can summon, though. Like, who is... Titan, maybe? Like, I won't judge. That's another connection they don't really elaborate on, is like, Odin is the king of Baron? Like, has he been the king of... Like, I guess Eidolons are kind of the eternal creatures. Has he just been the king of Baron forever? And then Blue Bald Turtle... Like, how does Cagnazzo usurp Odin? I think my understanding is, like, the king of Baron wasn't literally Odin, but at some point in the long past, Odin was associated with, like, the king's bloodline, like one of the founding lords of Baron. So in death, the king has a connection to the Eidolon associated with Baron. Oh, the singing has started. The very, very Japanese singing has begun. I mean, the reason I say that is because the implication is the same in other Final Fantasy games. In Final Fantasy III, the implication is that Odin is a powerful summon monster associated with Saronia, and is hidden away under Saronia. And then in Final Fantasy V, Odin is a powerful summon monster associated with Baal, that's hidden underneath the castle at Baal. And in Final Fantasy VI, he's a very powerful swordsman associated with some ancient kingdom that doesn't exist anymore. So that's just kind of Odin's character throughout the series. So I'm kind of extrapolating Odin's story in this game from other games. 8, too, kind of. He's a powerful GF associated with the Centran civilization that no longer exists by the time you get there. And then in 7 and 9, he's just like a random monster. Whatever. And then in 13, he's Lightning's horse. And then in Lightning Returns, he's a chocobo. That's canon. That's not... I'm not joking. That's what happens in Lightning Returns. He's a chocobo. But, like, none of the summoned monsters in 7 have any kind of storyline with them. Maybe Phoenix, I guess, if you squint. And Odin is not in 10 in any capacity, is he? You get Yojimbo instead. Themed. Thank you for playing Final Fantasy, IV. Augments and rare items. Alright, so I'm going to save my New Game Plus data in a different slot and just look at look what I have access to. So this is the end game slot for the first playthrough. So this will be the second playthrough. So if I load this, I can go back and fight Zeromus. If I load this... I guess I can't skip these cutscenes at all. Oh well. So, Odin is not a summon in Final Fantasy XII, but I bet there's an airship named after him. Most of the airships in Final Fantasy XII are named after the traditional summon monsters.
Orders, but this goes too far.
Really wish I could skip these cutscenes. I just want to check the inventory and see what we're looking at for the second playthrough. The Load Captain? They call him Lord Captain in this one.
We're the Red Wings, the pride of Baron. Must we now be thieves, sent to plunder from the weak?
Enough.
But Lord Captain, the Mysidians offered no resistance, and still we cut them down.
Listen to me. We did no more than what our kingdom's peace and prosperity required us to do. The Mysidians knew too much of the crystal.
So I can't skip the dialogue, I can just make it go away.
We are the
I can just
Red Wings
erase
of
it from the
Baron.
screen.
It is not our place to question the orders of our king.
Lord Captain.
Lord Captain!
Like, you sink the Leviathan in 12, and then the Bahamut is... Vane's flagship. So 10 has kind of all new summons, except for Shiva, right? Because you get Valifor... Oh, Ifrit. You also get Ifrit. And then you get Ixion instead of Rama. So Ifrit and Shiva are the only classic ones you get in 10. And Bahamut. Okay, so there's 3. You get 3. Bahamut's like the little boy that talks to Tidus for most of the game.
I wonder what it bodes.
There's been a couple Final Fantasy games where you fight Bahamut as the final boss, or some version of Bahamut. Because yeah, in 12, Vane becomes like this mechanical monstrosity using pieces of the Bahamut. And then in Lightning, or not like 13-2, the final boss is some form of Bahamut. And World of Final Fantasy, the final boss is some form of Bahamut. He's like the king of the Bahamut Empire, who also turns into Bahamut. There's actually a lot of story behind the actual Espers in Final Fantasy XII, but you kind of have to go into the game's data bank, like the database in the game, to see the storyline behind them all. The idea is that the Espers, see if I can get this right. Like at one point were each members of the Okiria that went rogue or had to be punished or like stripped of their power. And their punishment is they're sent to the world as Espers instead. So the Espers in Final Fantasy XII and the Lucavi from Final Fantasy Tactics are actually the same group of creatures, like fallen angel kind of beings. Yo Jimbo. I guess the Magus sisters, not Magic Sisters. I guess they are Magic Sisters too, but they're not new, they've never been summons before. Oh, his name's Kane Commander. I thought it was Kane Highwind. I'll take a look here. Yeah, everything I was... Whoa! Why do I have this? No idea why I have this. So I got the sword, got the armor, we got all my apples that I had. I had not used any of those. Cecil does get all of his augments. That's cool. Like... I mean, we just do the same thing, right? We just give him the same builds and let him just kill the whole game. Put him in the back row. Can he actually use any of the stuff? No. Okay. And we get a little star on there showing us it's our second playthrough. Cool. So augments do carry over through character transformation. Good to know. Oh, because I can control that fight instead of it playing out by itself. It just starts me with the red fang in the inventory. Interesting. She's a white mage. How come she's not wearing a robe? White mages are supposed to wear white robes with red frilly trim and optionally cat ears. They're not supposed to be walking around in their underwear. Underwear and a full cape. That is some fetish gear. Just saying. I also kind of want to see if I'm going to get map completion rewards again, or if you only get those once. Wrong door. Who should I give Limit Break to? I'm tempted to give Limit Break to Cecil immediately. He's a good candidate to use it anyway, but the stat ups from it will be good for the entire game. Yeah, let's give Cecil our first Limit Break augment. Let's just do it. Question mark. Let me double check. I think that does give all stats up. But he's going to be able to hit the damage cap at some point with that onion sword. Hopefully early on in the playthrough. Limit Break is all stats up. So that's... We'll start him off with that. And we'll keep it equipped on him. You know what? Instead of reach for now. I remember liking Caius a lot as a villain, but because that game's story doesn't make any sense and it's just not coherent, it's kind of hard to know for sure. I'm gonna sleep in my armor. That's probably fine.
Your Majesty, what's
I don't
become
need to
of
take
you?
my boots off.
Where is the noble knight, the man who took me in as an orphan and raised me as his own? The strong, just king I once knew. Is a crystal worth all this? robbing a peaceful people of what's theirs by right. What need could be so great? King's orders or no, there's no forgiving what we've done.
Cecil? Won't you tell me what happened?
Nope. Put his shirt on.
First you're sent off to Mysidia, and now to hunt some beast again so soon? Did something happen?
I think it's hilarious that I don't have a button to skip the cutscene. I just have a button to make the subtitles go away.
Then why won't you look at me?
In Mysidia, we stole a crystal from people who had done no wrong. I've worn this darkened armor for so long now. There's no mote of light left in me.
Isn't Cecil like 18?
In my heart.
I feel like an 18-year-old shouldn't be talking about having done anything for so long now.
I'm a coward. A coward who cannot even defy orders he knows he ought not follow.
Cecil of the Red Wings is many things, but he is no coward. Not the Cecil who I love. The king is sending you to Mist to slay the Eidolon, isn't he? If anything were to happen to you, I couldn't...
Is Caius in Lightning Returns at all?
He will be with me.
It occurs to me I didn't play Lightning Returns long enough to actually encounter all of the characters again.
You should get some rest.
Does Caius pop back up for no reason?
Be careful.
Or for inadequately explained reasons? He is. So, that series has no coherent plot at all. It's really funny.
Thank you, Rosa. But I know what I've become.
God, I wish the 13 series didn't mess with my controller on Steam. I would like to get those games on Steam and have access to them on PC. I think Cecil is 18 in this game, and Kane is a little older.
Cecil.
I'll be counting on you, my friend.
Then you've
That might be incorrect. I think they retconned Rose's age at one point because her original age, like I think Cecil's originally 18 and Rose is 17 at the beginning of this game, but then Theodore's age in the after years and the time gap between the two games implied that Rosa was pregnant with Theodore as a minor, so they retconned her age. So maybe in this version of the game, Cecil and Rosa are older than they were intended to be originally. Because originally the characters weren't conceived to, like, we're not going to have a game that 20 years from now they have a 20-year-old kid, or whatever it is. So they're 20 now? Okay. And then in 20 years, Theodore is 20. Baron Castle is nowhere near that big, by the way. Theodore is 16? I guess that's true, because he's just going on like his training. He would be a few years younger than Cecil is at the beginning of this game. Because in this game, Cecil is already a seasoned soldier at 20 for some reason. Yeah, I just kind of want to run up here real quick. it came the Onion Sword just for the Mist Dragon fight. I don't think I'm going to, though. Well, there's no time travel in the Final Fantasy After Years, so... So yeah, my map stays complete, but I guess I don't get the rewards again. So that's kind of bad, unfortunately. Okay. Oh wait, one more thing we have to do actually. Because this is the second playthrough, we have to pick a new Windows design. Do we go full on Chocobutts? I think we go full on Chocobutts in the second playthrough. That's what we ought to do. Heck yeah. So first playthrough, this is our second playthrough with the Chocobutts. Alright. Let's quit this nonsense. Oh, we've got about an hour and a half to get Final Fantasy 1 started. So I guess what I'll do is I'll get it on screen here. And then I'll bring the stream down for half a second. This should be it. Oh, I don't have a logo or anything to put on screen at the moment. The only logo I have for Final Fantasy 1 is for Randomizer. Maybe don't put it over my face though. That's kind of stupid. Let's put it down here. Yeah, there we go. That's makes a lot more sense. So I've got to put together something to fill up all this disgusting space up here, like a logo and maybe the command, I don't know, to bring up the list of things we're doing. Wait, McLean, you can't bounce yet. I need your help with the names. I'm going to kill the stream for 2 minutes just so Final Fantasy 1 starts into its own thing.